Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments. If there's anybody in the public would like to make a comment on any section or anything at this point? Okay, hearing none. Need a motion for approval of the March 8th regular meeting and April 5th, the public hearing meeting we had on the superintendent contract.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Reports. Mrs. Circle.
Good evening. We have had a lot of things going on in the high school, which is a good thing. I'm not gonna go through all of them. I have this wonderful report prepared by the print shop. There are some things I do wanna definitely highlight, because I do have some presentations. Our CNA class, Mrs. Miller, never have we had this happen, every single student passed. So we have 7 new CNAs that passed their exam. We have not had that happen before, so I have goosebumps over it. It's excellent. They did a wonderful job. We had this, I believe, thank you, I saw some board members there, great success. We have a blood drive tomorrow. We are finally getting to do one after since COVID. We have a very short supply of blood in our community, so we felt that this was important that we went ahead and had this. We're using all safety precaution, and it's only with our staff and our students. We're not bringing in the public for this. The band had their concert. The library, the LMC, is going to have our first ever poetry slam on April 28th. See how that is, in honor of Poetry Month. We had several college signings. They're on the back. Bracketology came in 3rd overall, which was amazing, out of 203 entries. And our spring sports are off to a wonderful, wonderful start. But at this time, I would like to introduce one of our seniors, Chris Fry. He has joined us this year. We are very happy to have him. You're home here, Chris. And he has received an incredible honor. He is the highest rank of Eagle Scout, and less than 5% of Scouts receive this honor. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit.
Hi, my name is Christopher Price. I just transferred here this semester to Delphi. I've lived around this area for all my life, 2 miles off the border. 1 month ago, I was awarded with my Eagle Scout after over 10, 11 years being in the Scouts organization. I have been on over 25 nights of camping throughout my 8 years in the Boy Scouts. My favorite memory was going down to the Indianapolis 500, and we got to march around the track before the race. I played my saxophone. I have been patrol leader multiple times in my troop. I've been chaplain's aide a couple times, an instructor, which means that I help all the junior scouts. I have been on many summer camps, earned over 25 merit badges, which 13 are required for Eagle, and you have to have 21 for Eagle at least. And I actually earned an Eagle Palm, which means I got 5 merit badges after the rank of Eagle before I turned 18 and aged out. So I'm still helping my troop as an adult leader every once in a while. I have two younger brothers still in the troop. So yeah, it's enjoyable. And
Chris, what was your project?
I live by the Buck Creek Community Center, and there are trails back in there that other Eagles from my troop have worked on, and they mulched them. So I actually extended the trails back in there, another extra loop winded around back in the creek, And then I made a big sign for it, for the trails. It said Buck Creek Community Trails, Eagle Projects by Troop 348. It was a long project because I was right in the middle of it when COVID really slammed us. So I had many setbacks when I was working with the wood because I couldn't go and meet with the people that were helping me cut it and engraving it. So that was multiple months setbacks. Thankfully, all of the materials were donated and it didn't cost the Wabash area any money. So that was good.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And then Mr. Sims is going to, do a small presentation.
She's talking to you, boys.
Okay, so a month ago I talked to you about obviously the scoreboard. So the prospectus is completed. Daktronics and us finally got everything that was necessary for Delphi Community Schools in the prospectus. Leslie's group today got it printed for me. Thank them. It's a very nice piece. They did a nice job with that. The only comments I have is, where are we going from here? I can share this with you. I know for a fact, and I don't have contracts to give people because I couldn't. I couldn't offer a contract based on our agreement that we had a month ago. You just said, go ahead and see what you can get. I have, if you turn to page 13, it has anchor partnerships at $6,000 a year. It's a 5-year commitment, which is $30,000. I have 3 of those already. What I'm asking you today is for Delphi Community Schools to be the 4th one. Based on the fact that I think it would be really good for us as a school corporation to have the same advertisements going on those video boards about our school corporation that our kids are basically doing the marketing for, that every person that comes into the gym and every person that comes to Berto Field sees what we do at Delphi Community Schools. So that would basically be a 5-year deal of $6,000. I basically am asking you to be the 4th person at $30,000. So that's my pitch to you. I do have a comparison sheet that's in your manila folder there that I just want to briefly share with you the differences. So on the left-hand side, you'll see what Daktronics is going to do for us and how much it is going to cost us sponsorship-wise per year. And on the right are the cheapest scoreboards I can find. So if we replace the scoreboards that I have discussed with you, football, baseball, softball, and basketball, the cheapest ones I can find, it would still be $116,000, and we would still have to pay to install them. So you're looking at $166,000 with no way of me to sell a sponsorship, because there would be no sponsorship signage on any of them. Zero. There wouldn't be any. They would be just exactly like we have right now, but they'd be new. But they would have no way for us to raise $1 off of those scoreboards. They would have scores and timing, and that's it. So the comparison to me is relatively, did I go to find the deluxe? Yeah, I did. But I also think I found a way to pay for the project that makes a lot of sense. Here's what I've been told by the Daktronics people. If we want to move forward, if we commit to them by like Wednesday at noon, they probably can get a softball and a baseball scoreboard in place before our sectionals. And we are very fortunate this year. One of the reasons that we have softball lights, we have the sectional this year. And we have the baseball sectional again this year. So we have 2 of those events, major events coming here that are basically week-long events. They're during the same week. I would like to see that happen, if at all possible. Thank you.
Kevin, you said you have commitment for 3 of the anchor sponsorships?
Yep.
What about the other 2 levels?
I feel really comfortable about the other levels. I think I can find those really easy. The ones I was worried about were the anchor ones, and those were really the ones that I went and knocked on doors about and called people about. The other ones I think are relatively easy because there's so, if you look through there and you really look at that package, there's so much stuff offered for your sponsorship. It's pretty incredible, really, compared to what we've done in the past. You know, I get $500 and $600 from people, and really the only thing we do is put an ad on the TVs in the gym and put their name in a program. This is going to be a whole lot different. This is going to be really excelled from any of that stuff. So I feel really good about our local people getting committed at the lower levels, and a couple of our people that I've never done business with have pretty much committed to me to do 5-year deals. So that's a good thing, I think.
Does Daktronics create a sponsor contract for you to use? Or,
Yes.
Or do we need to have need to do something?
They do have one based off of those very same partnership deals. I would obviously want him to look at it to make sure it's what we're doing and it's correct, but yes, they do have it.
You don't have to mention who they are, but the 3 that you think you've got locked in, are they local or are they from the area?
One of them is local that I've never had a sponsorship with since I've been here in 7 years. The other 2 are local people. One of them very big operation. And one of them in an area that you would think makes a lot of sense. I'm kind of anxious to see the competition between the businesses, because when you limit it to 4, and the reason it's 4 anchors is because of the package that's offered. And it becomes, I think it'll end up being a competition. I mean, I think I really can go to a car dealership and say, you want to do this? And if you don't, I'm going down the road because I want a car dealership. That kind of thing. And I kind of look forward to that challenge, to tell you the truth. No matter, and I say that no matter what position I'm in. I'm going to help this through. I don't care if I'm the athletic director or I'm not. I'm going to help see this through.
I'll suggest, you guys have education foundation here, I believe, correct? And every school's probably handle that different, but that's one way I've seen schools, people can make donations to the foundation, and then they did that at LaPorte with it. We've done billboards for the school, so that's one way to potentially do it. I'm not pushing that on you, just throwing that out there as a suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually have one of the local banks that is wanting to get involved in sponsorship, which has done limited stuff with us, but they are also interested in handling our money. They're actually, for this project, they're actually interested in setting up a way that we can handle credit cards in the future, at the concession stand and at the tickets, which is huge, be huge for Sue and I, because there's people that always want to come in with a credit card and pay for, $50 worth of family that's coming. It happens it's amazing how often it happens, and it obviously is the way of the future with debit cards and everything else. The other thing I would add to that is that I talked the other day to Tyler Mose, and he is wanting to get involved at the other end of it and take this package to the alumni and offer it to the alumni, not as a package sponsorship, but as throw money at us that's going to go towards these scoreboards. And I think we're going to turn that into, and Tim was generous enough to sit down one day and share with me, why don't we turn that into a competition, I think that can be done really easy. And I think it can be done really easy with this package right here, which we have digitally, so I think that'll be part of it too. Which is aside from these sponsorships. Okay, I used my time.
Okay, well, we started transition conferences last week, and so I need to give a big shout out to the teachers, to the administrators, to the counselors, for just working together to make sure that we are going to be providing the best education with all the supports that the students need in order to be successful. This week we'll pretty much wrap up transitions, other than one more week left in May. We had to work around iLearn, which we know starts next week, and so we will be wrapping up all conferences, which is around 24 conferences to be had for those students that are transitioning either from kindergarten to first grade, 5th to 8th, or 5th to 6th, or 8th to 9th grade. Medicaid billing, we have generated so far $22,408.91. Transportation has all been input into the system. So our May statement should hopefully reflect that. We were able to go all the way back into August of this school year and log any time that we transported a student. And in the fall, we plan on, with the hire of a new nurse, to bring her along to do the billing for services for students that need to receive medication or any other health things that she will be providing.
And this is new? Is this
So,
different than what we used to do?
under the co-op, the Medicaid billing that was generated there, I think the largest amount they saw over a span of maybe 7 years was about 13,000. And it was really just their speech, who was inputting the information in order to get the billing. And then occasionally the OT and PT that was contracted through Logansport, they would occasionally enter information, but our OT, PT, speech, they all know that one day a month they need to set aside to just input all of their billing. And then, right now with transportation, Mrs. Meyer is getting all of the information from the bus drivers, and then we scan and submit that to the to Go Solutions. So, has not been a past practice, I guess I should say. No. As we get towards this end of the school year, it's always kind of report time for me. Title I audit was returned. We have a few findings, but they were more or less just documenting our procedures. So Mr. Scheidler and I will be meeting to see how some of those procedures are done at the elementary and make sure that we type up the documentation and send it on. So nothing that we're not doing, just wasn't documented to their liking. So we will take care of that. That is due May 1st. Collection of enrollment for April 1. We do have an April 1 count with special ed. It is not tied to the funding that we receive, but it does go along with our Part B verification, and that's another report that is due next week. And then also our indicator 14, so our kids who transitioned out and graduated last year, that report is also due next week. Grant expenditures and amendments, Andrew and I will continue to get all of those wrapped up. We have a few grant dollars that need to be spent, have been spent, and so getting those reimbursements done. We've got some end of the May deadlines and then also end of September deadlines for those grants, and so working on that. And then the ESSER 2 grant, working with Mr. Rock and Mrs. Circle, that is due May 14th. And I do not know our new allotments for the next round of title grants. But hopefully by next board meeting I will have those.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Since we've come back from spring break, the there hasn't been a lot of things going on in middle school, but it's about ready to ramp up as we have 33 days left in the school year, and we start iLearn next week. And for those of you who don't know, at the middle school, in the 6th grade, they get tested on science, English, and math, and then in 7th and 8th grade, they get tested on English and math. So I got to give a shout out to Ms. Gaynor, who has been working with our teams of teachers to schedule all that. It's been a fun ride since we learned that the 8th grade Chromebooks are not compatible with the system. So we have scrounged around and made some cards, and we're going to use some labs and get that testing done. So the iLearn's coming up. This past Wednesday, we had our Junior Honor Society induction ceremony. Wendy Thompson is the sponsor of that. We had 29 kids, 7th and 8th graders, that were inducted into the Junior Honor Society. The thing that's real neat about that program, if you've never been to it, is it's all student ran. So the students do all the talking, the students escort the kids in. It's a pretty neat setup. I give a little speech there, and then the students take over from there. So that happened last Wednesday. Also last Wednesday, we had the mobile dentist come in. We had several students that went through that. So we have fresh smelling breath at the middle school right now, and that's great. Also, another student that I have to bring up, on the 12th of March, which was the Friday before spring break, we had our spelling bee, and Lainey Nipple won our spelling bee this year, and she was a 3-time champ, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. She won it all 3 years, so that was kind of neat that she had won it every single year. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Salyer and Mr. Cowley and Mr. Hoover, because we had the social studies textbook adoption this year, and people don't understand how many hours goes into, putting the committee together and reviewing all the materials and selecting something that's going to work for years to come. So I'd like to say thank you to them. And then lastly, we have some events coming up. Our first middle school home track meet is Tuesday, April 20th. And we have 2 8th grade choir concerts coming up. One's on April 30th, and the other one's on May 5th, and those begin at 7 p.m. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Want to give a huge shout out to Mrs. Martin, our media specialist, for leading our spring book fair. You can kind of see the numbers there, but I'm excited when she's excited, and she was really excited. Most successful spring book fair she said we've ever had. It actually beat out our fall book fair. So very pleased with her and her efforts and the willingness to do that. Again, it would be easy just to say, not this year, or not twice this year, but she went all in. I want to thank the custodial staff. If you've never seen the book fair set up, it's carts after carts after carts. A big truck comes and stops the whole world and has to be unloaded and pushed through the building and stuff. The next thing, just again, I'm just pleasantly surprised every time Mrs. Gill and I can give positive office referrals. Again, it's changing the culture. Every time we have a reason to positively reach out to families, for some families it's changing their perception of school. We're all in this together. So we love positive office referrals. They're great. You can see on the next page, here's a picture. We had Peter Cottontail? Mrs. Gill? Peter Cottontail snuck in throughout the building. That was kind of neat. The writing doesn't really go with that image. But I wish you could see these images. This was some cute writing, some real cool writing opportunities for our 4th grade students, writing about their captioning and doing quotations and stuff like that. Again, that creative side of them coming out. I just love that, one of my recent walks. I want to give a shout out to our parent-teacher organization. Again, in color you can tell, but on the top picture on the bottom right, you could see a very depleted recess cart, and they probably went overboard and replenished the playground cart, which might cause a little bit of a headache at times, but we appreciate our partnership with our PTO. On the last page, again, we we try to run as much as we can through the lens of what can we do to put the students at the forefront, and this includes even cleaning our grounds. The other day, I just noticed some stuff that needed picked up, and I just easily was able to go in the cafeteria. Do I have any volunteers? And we got gloves, and they went outside, and the look of satisfaction for a job well done on their faces was incredible. And the teachers said, when they came back, they were just beaming with pride. So again, those little things, we love those things. I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Dennison. She's our new music teacher this year. She, hey, do you mind if I do voluntarily do a play after school with kids? Okay, great. What a great opportunity for kids. So she has a vision that kind of matches mine to bring some theatrical type events for our students. So that's a picture of 5th grade students after school one day auditioning to be a part of the upcoming play, which will be next month. And then the very last one at the bottom, I enjoyed conversations with Julie Leahy from the chamber, if I'm getting my terminology right, and conversation where she brought me in and some researchers at Purdue. And over spring break, we had, I want to say, about 15 students in grades 4 and 5 that were able to work with some of these researchers to do some augmented reality and stuff like that. It was just really neat because, again, I feel like with us on the outskirts of West Lafayette research, this and that, it was nice to see our students given some of those same opportunities. So I welcome those partnerships. That's what I have. Oh, and we're doing iLearn next week too. I forgot about it. I was so embarrassed.
Question? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Ours also is more of a celebration shout out tonight to certain staff members. So shout out to Miss B. Miss B, if you don't know, is one of our lead teachers in our preschool program, and she received a nomination for all the work that she's done in our preschool program, and that goes out to the state and different organizations so that they're aware of what we have going on. It's exciting because I did hear that we received a call from Rossville asking about how we have moved forward in our preschool program, so that was exciting to share resources with them. Also love to give a celebration clap to Mrs. Harrison for her work in implementing our sensory room. I explained that in our board report so you know how vital that is to have that for these youngsters. This is where they can go to get regulation, and they can work with her on some deep breathing techniques, some things that can help them with their emotional needs. And it's been utilized by several students, not by just our special needs students. Something that's needed. Even I think some staff members have gone in there for some breathing. Shout out to Mr. Ross for his help with our farm week. Also too, we'd like to give him a thank you and a shout out for helping us locate a possible matching grant, which will need the work of the community members to help us match some things that need to be done in our historical gym. The gym is used by community members and by some of our students in the corporation from the middle school for basketball practice, and of course all of our early childhood students. I explained that in the board report, but if we were to receive the matching grant, if it was approved that we move forward, they would help us with fixing up the flooring and some of the lighting in the gymnasium, since it's a historical landmark. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to our interventionists because, you know, they also seek out professional development, and we're always talking about our other teachers, but I want to highlight them because they go above and beyond in their school day to stay and learn about programs such as Orton Gillingham, which has really helped our students thrive this year. Especially Terry Smith, a shout out for all her work with our LEP students, and I know that goes up into the high school and middle school area, and that's not necessarily a place that she's required to serve, but she goes out of her way and does it for us. So, thank you.
Questions? Mr. Strebeck, do you have anything you'd like to share, or?
I can just update you on the project that we're with spring break if you want.
Fine.
I'll just make sure if you want. The pipes were all replaced. They haven't finished the drywall yet, but we haven't been in a hurry for that since we got back to school. Everything's functioning properly. The safe room, quiet room at the elementary is 3/4 complete. We received the padding for it today. The block work was done over spring break, and the door, we're just waiting on the safety glass door to come in. It just takes 3 to 6 weeks for that to be shipped, but it's on its way. So we should put the padding in this week, and the room will be ready to go and ready to go, hopefully before the end of April, but if not, pretty close. We had some problems with, one of the playground pieces of equipment in the elementary that Mr. Schuyler brought to my attention. The metal just wore out the flooring. And we have been trying to find replacements and have not had much luck because of the age of the piece. So at this point, Mr. Morrow and Mrs. Longshire took the decking off. We've got it taped off so the kids can't use it at this point. We're just removing the old decking so that there's no chance of anybody getting cut or injured if they decide to play on it, even though they're not supposed to. We're having mild issues with the lighting company, with the parking lot lights that are going out, but we think we got that resolved today. The company that did the work for us were helping us out. It was the company supplying the light products that were being a pain, and again, I think we've got that all worked out to where we come to a good resolution for the school. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ron?
I included a copy of a working calendar. It's a rough copy because there are some major issues that we need to resolve, and we'll want to do that in May. But one of the big issues was balancing the two semesters. We have a lot more instructional days second semester than we do first, and we're trying to look at some possible options for that. The other thing is spring break. The two schools we coordinate most closely with are Twin Lakes and Carroll, and it affects our special ed population. And then we also have Frontier, and I believe that participates with those other two schools with some of our vocational offerings. And so we're trying to coordinate our spring break, and we're going to meet with the vocational cooperative this week, and hopefully we'll have a much better idea of when they're going to do their spring break. It's unusual in March of next year that there's 5 full weeks, and so there's some debate about when to have the spring break. Traditionally, I think you've done it like the 17th through 24th, but there is another full week of March after that date. Frontline is the program that you allowed us to purchase for posting our jobs. When we went into the training, they said we would hopefully be done in June and be able to post jobs in July, but they didn't count on dealing with Carly and Kathy Zink. And so as a result, they finished all the training, and they've done everything and have it ready. And after tonight's meeting, they're probably very likely that we will have multiple jobs that we can go ahead and post on that site. And one of the big advantages, again, is that it goes to a database that has over 50,000 educators who have applied there that will get contacted about our job openings. The May meeting is going to be very important. There's going to be a lot of issues that we'll want to resolve. One is PD scheduling. The state continues to create mandates for us that are almost impossible for us to complete without having time to work with teachers. So we'll probably come back and look at some PD changes for the 21-22 school year. Student handbooks, will get you electronic copies of those, and then you can share. I know some of you have expressed some concern. You can share those with us before we get to a point where it's time to approve them. Personnel handbooks, I think, are going to be impacted largely through new state laws that are being done right now, and also through changes that are coming, it seems like, very rapidly from the federal government. So we'll take a look at those and try to have those personnel handbooks ready. We're looking at book rent. There have been issues in the past with paying for hardware and software, and so we're going to try to resolve some of that. All that money has not been allocated as it should have been, and we're going to make sure that gets done. And then finally, we're still continuing to gather data for a possible bond project. We looked at some carpeting, and you know some of the projects we looked at. So those are several things that are gonna be on our agenda, and it may be that you'll wanna have some kind of a work session possibly to take a look at those things and give us your input.
Questions for Mr. Ross?
Well, I got a question on the county. For some reason, I was thinking you applied 180 students.
We do. That's one of the problems with that calendar. Carly's identified that the second semester is short a day. But that's what we're trying to get worked out as to when those breaks are and then when graduation will be. So yes, it'll definitely have 180 days. I just wanted, again, the rough outline that you begin to see what the choices were.
Has there been any word on the reimbursement on our electric bonus yet?
No, they really stretched it out to 90 days. When I talked to the gentleman from IBM, it's been before spring break. He explained that it took him a month to approve it, so technically they had 30 to 90 days starting February, but they're still pushing the limits. But everybody I've talked to down there can't give me an answer. It's just, it's been approved, it's been submitted to the state, and we're just at the mercy of the state for them writing the check or transferring the money. But everything is went through, it's just a matter of waiting on the state.
And that is $315,000 per city.
Okay, we're gonna do, routine matters, oh, sorry, I skipped that. Yes, we have a public thank you. The Northview Church donated, $200 to the Camden, Early Childhood Center to paint and refurbish and update like the hopscotch and basketball lines and stuff. Mrs. Gill, has that been done yet, or will that be kind of like a summer project to update?
No, we received the check, and the community partner, service project starts the last week of April, beginning of May, and they'll come in after hours. I'll be there to supervise, and they'll help us out with that.
We appreciate them doing that. Okay. Routine and matters, we will actually be doing A through E. And then we're gonna hold, or do F separate, and we'll do G, H separate too. So, consent items on routine matters A, for claims and payroll in the amount of $1,366,812.83. The monthly approval of the financial report submitted by the treasurer. We have a list of several summer school staff, and I believe that is based off of numbers, right? Anticipated numbers for all those, right? And then employment of classified school staff. We have Cynthia Kramer for cafeteria at $11 an hour. Sandra Kluber? Cloutier. Also cafeteria for $11. Leanne Rocher, for cafeteria for $12. And we also then have Caitlin Allen as the new school corporation nurse, with the estimated salary of $35,150, and that is to replace one of the positions of the Mrs. Ross and Tony. The resignation, we have Ramey Jones for the girls basketball, Barbara Arthur for cafeteria, Teresa Smith for an A at the end of the school year, Bob Little custodian at the end of the school year, then Doug Danforth, the chemistry high school at the end of the school year, Kate Evans as the soccer coach, Jesse Hickner for the assistant soccer coach, and Hillary Wesley for second grade teacher, June 30th of this year. Fundraisers and facility usage, field trips, the high school French 3, painting, Indianapolis Art Museum, Purpose Service to Experience Art, April 29th. DCHF Health and Science, 11th and 12th grades, at a funeral home, to learn about, embalming process and mortuary science. And the Delphi High School FFA to the Tiffin County Fairgrounds for livestock. Need a motion.
Motion that we approve the routine matters A, B, C, D, and E as presented. Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion, comments?
This corporation must have been extended, please.
It's 190 days. And the reason that's an estimated salary is that I was presented with a document today that I've never seen before. So I am trying to find out if it is policy, if it is past practice, or what it is. So I will come back, since she does not start till next fall officially, I will come back to you with some specifics about what her pay would be. But because she is a registered nurse, then it would be higher than it's been in the past.
She's currently an employee.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Routine matter F, employment of the superintendent. We've had a public hearing on that, and they have, everything out away here. Been posted. And so we are here to, vote on the contract. Need a motion for the contract, as it's been presented.
I move that we accept the superintendent's contract as presented.
Second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Comments?
Mr. President, do we need to identify the salary and the specifics for
Yes.
the record?
Yes, we can do that. Even though it's posted, we've had our public process, we don't necessarily go, the base salary is $114,000. It, is paid in 26 equal installments, just like everything else. $250,000 life insurance policy, and we can give people a copy if they need. The other part is, sick days, 12 sick days. The other thing that, needs to be noted, I think, is that, the superintendent will be paying part of their health, insurance at $200 a month, which has been a change from the past. The contract day, is 260, right, I believe. So, anything else? If not, all in favor of the, employment of Mrs. Circle as our superintendent, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, recommendations for, adding position to combat learning loss. The, funding will come from SR2,
decided on who we accept their T matters, G and H is presented and have produced copies.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm looking forward to voting.
If I may, Mr. Scheidler or Mrs. Gill, so what we're looking at here is, providing the numbers stay where we currently are, because we have, very high numbers in the grades, that's why we need that. Additionally, the extra position at the early childhood, and Mrs. Clayton, you can actually chime in on this, is that we need a one-to-one teacher with a student that, we will
So,
have.
yeah, so our students that are leaving the developmental preschool, many of them are gonna require services, either one-on-one, resource room setting, et cetera, and currently we do not have that resource for them. So it's something to help allow us the continuum of services that are written in their IEP.
And probably for some of the money, of course, it's special needs, but also the ESSER, 2 and 3, on some of that will be able to help fund that, right?
I'm looking at two that, yeah, sure. I just put the numbers in the columns, but yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Mr. Gill?
Grade 2 and 3 based on current numbers.
Right.
So again, we can't wait till August to hire the 5th sections. So, the numbers as they currently are, we either are gonna have 26 and a half kids in those rooms, or we're gonna have 21. So, when we talk about the best way to offset learning loss, I think this is a great opportunity to do that. So, we're hopeful you approve, and then we can get this and get hired, and we'll have to set those 5th sections up in 2nd and 3rd grade. So from a consistent, we'll have K1, 2, 3, at the very least 5 sections, and our numbers will be in that 20 to 21 range, ideally, so.
And the kindergarten, the standpoint from that is that the children that we will be seeing for early childhood coming in, they've been in isolation for the last year. Unlike our kiddos now who have been coming in, we're going to be having to focus on a lot of their social emotional needs and learning how to get along. And so having those smaller class sizes are going to help us support their developmental needs at this time, especially post-pandemic, and still working. I mean, several of them have not been to a preschool setting like so many other kids in the past have been. So we'd appreciate your support on that if our numbers arise.
Any other questions?
I would just make the comment that, there's gonna be a lot of school corporations scattered through the US are gonna be spending money on ventilation systems. And I think it's really important that we spend it on learning, and that we're gonna put our students in the best possible position to be successful. And I think that's what this will lend itself to. This is a rare opportunity for 2 years, and then the corporation will have to look at, sustainability in terms of what they'll be able to do going forward. That this will certainly give us a window to make a significant difference.
We have plenty of resources and equipment to take care of the extra classrooms.
We have space, we're gonna have
I
to.
know we have space.
Yeah. We'll probably have to get a few things for sure.
Any other? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. All right, other business. Okay, we have adoption of the DCES social studies, from Savas, formerly Pearson. Adoption of the Delphi Middle School, High School social studies. Why don't we take that one there, not to confuse with the guidelines and stuff, we may have that. So if we could have a motion on other A and B.
I move that we approve the another business items A and B as presented.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion on the adoption? saying aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, C, other business. Recommendation to modify the COVID guidelines for the DCSC. It would be if students and staff have been vaccinated after 2 weeks, it will no longer be necessary for those qualifying to be quarantined. Based on the governor's mandate, school personnel and students will continue to wear masks. Need a motion?
So move.
Motion is second. Discussion.
Well, the county health department brought this to our attention, and this also came up as I know Mrs. Circle was talking to parents about students, 16-year-olds being vaccinated. A lot of parents were questioning if students still had to be out for 2 weeks, what was the point of the vaccination? So this only made sense to us, so that we're going to use the fully vaccinated definition, and hopefully it will result in less missed time and for both staff and students. Now, all the students who got their vaccinations, it was the one shot, it was the Johnson & Johnson. So as soon as they got it, then the 2-week count started. There is not a follow-up shot with that.
Pretty common for, I see most of our school clients doing this, and businesses as well.
All in favor on other business C, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. This would be a spot for, if anybody wants to, Chris, entertain a motion about the scoreboard, or if you want, if somebody wants to, so we can discuss it, or we can do it at, the next board meeting. I mean, it's kind of up, I think, maybe.
I think this is kind of time sensitive to Billy to get at least the first two in motion. So, I'll make a motion that we, approve the partnership package with Daktronics and give Kevin give him permission to go forward with the two scoreboards. And, we never really said whether we were gonna do all four, or is this just for the two?
Second, one, do you discuss? Okay, so we got a motion on, the, scoreboard, package that was presented to us.
So, question, do we actually have any sort of a contract though, or what do we know? Cost, do we have any of those details, or receiving, or what? I mean, I know what they're saying, the proposal, but it doesn't actually go through costs. Or any details.
And I also have, this includes installation, but, does our electrical at each of those locations, is it sufficient enough to power what we're bringing in, and if we've got to bring in new lines, that's additional cost. So, I'm telling you, if we just a little bit from that investigation.
Did Mr. Sims actually agree?
Yeah, baseball. You may try to get a hold of it.
I believe it was all Ford scoreboards is what he was talking about. The two, if we just did it now, basically what he said was the two, you could have up by sectional, if we started the process now. But I also, and again, I mean, I wasn't in on any of the meetings, but I don't think we have a contract right now with them. I think that's what we're trying to get. Our old scoreboards are Daktronic though, I know that. So my guess is they would be compatible to hook up the same way, would be my guess. Since it's the same vendor.
On those, yeah. The other two might be.
I think I'm pretty sure every single scoreboard we have is electronic, because we use the same box to go around to every.
Yeah, but the electrical requirements may be significant for the video boards compared to
Yeah.
what we got. Yeah.
The one nice thing is a lot of the newer electronics don't require as much because of LED, and you've got better product, I don't know that, but in most cases it is.
Okay. It'll work as good as our lights and,
Actually, we've had those repairs.
Communication as far as the, Mr. Farrell, that was going to go out and see what he could get in potential commitment, because he was going to go out, if I remember right, he was actually going to go out.
Who's that?
Was his name Mr. Farrell? Steve Carroll, that's why I was thinking,
It's a hard one to
that he was gonna see what commitments he could find too, what the community would bear, and then along with, evidently, Mr. Sims has some too, we don't know what that is yet, right, or has.
I thought that was how they developed this.
I thought he was possible. So we have agreements and anchor sponsors, them are all secured.
Right, so we only have 3 anchors, secured, but he wants us to do the full.
Still only brings 30,000 a year, for 4, it's even less than that.
Kevin's on the phone.
I think for, Kevin, this is Nick Otis, is there like a written contract for Daktronics?
A written contract?
Yeah, will there be, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
There will be, when, I mean, you know, if it's something we wanna move forward with, yes, I can get one in like 2 hours, probably. Yeah.
Okay. And then you had questions about utilities too, why don't you guys ask those to get some clarity?
Utilities.
Yeah, well, that,
I'd like to see contracts. I'm not opposed to this at all. I think I'd like to see some contracts, maybe some more information.
and the only ones that we were concerned about for electrical was the video boards, because they would be at a separate requirement compared to what we have now. The other two should be an issue.
Kevin, what's,
I think, if you're asking about the electrical portion of it, we obviously have all of that stuff there right now. I don't know about the Wi-Fi part of it, but the other, I'm sure we have everything needed there, actually, in all of the places.
Okay.
So Mr. Sims does the, commitments or the 3 or 4 that, sponsorships, does that include what, Mr. Carroll was going to go out and see what he could get also in, you know, or was this just on your own what you've done so far?
Mine doesn't have anything to do with me or her whatsoever.
Steve Carroll,
Steve Carroll.
the presenter at the last meeting.
Steve Carroll was he was the Daktronics guy that did the presenting, yes.
They're asking if the money that you raise is separate from the money that Steve Carroll is going to raise, correct?
Yeah, Steve Carroll is just the sales representative for Daktronics, so yes, I mean, you know, I think it's gonna be a multi-person effort trying to bring in money, and they definitely are going to help us. But what I spoke about tonight was just what I have had verbal commitment from.
So we don't have any, knowledge yet of what Daktronics, because they said they was gonna go out and see what the community could bear, right? We haven't got any information on that yet?
An opportunity to do that because we talked about that the second week of March or whatever it was, and we were on spring break, and so, you know, the only thing that has been totally completed by Daktronics has been the prospectus that you're looking at and the changes that we've made on it.
Sounds like
I'll-
we're ready, yeah.
I'll throw something out, cause I mean, you guys are hosting these sectionals, it's important to put your best foot forward when you get that, so you can have the events again in the future. If you can get this stuff quickly to me, I mean, you could call a quick special meeting, do it by Zoom even, I mean, to approve that, but I'd feel more comfortable if I saw the contract as well. I totally get your concern, and maybe get some clarity on the utilities as well. But I get it, it's important for, you know, to have the best stuff for the sectionals, so.
That's a big exception.
It's usually around Memorial Day.
Yeah, it's the,
Graduation week.
yes, the graduation week, both the
Okay.
girls and the boys.
Those are probably the easier
Oh, no.
scoreboards to install, right, so.
Okay.
The problem I see is, it's not the Dextronics problem, they're waiting for a commitment from us. And then they will help us do whatever we need, but I don't think we've done all the work that we need to do on our end to say, yes, go ahead.
I guess the question right now though is, do we wanna move ahead on those other two scoreboards? Because the video scoreboards are the ones that are going to cost the most and bring the money. Right. So is, you know, I guess to the board, how important is having the other two up, lights before the section? And if we agree that that is something that we wanna do, you know, personally, I'm not against, you know,
I think the commitment the board would have to make if we did everything, is we would be committing to that, because it is no interest, so we would be committing to the $80,000 a year for 5 years. And then we're going to count on our athletic department, to come up with that money to make it a cost neutral thing. That's where the gray area is. We don't have the guarantee that it's cost neutral. So we've got a somewhat guarantee that we're gonna recoup $18,000 of that, $80,000 a year. So, as I see it, and again, the long term, great project. Do we need to see a contract before we say yes, we'll move ahead? Do we need to see all the sponsors before we say yes, move ahead? I don't think I need to see that much, but, I don't know that we've done all of our homework to say, yes, I'm going to commit $80,000 a year for 5 years.
So, what I would suggest